Welcome back to the StodCast. I'm your host, Superintendent John Stoddard, and today we're exploring one of the most creative corners of our school, the Makerspace. It's the place where ideas turn into real things, from 3D prints to coding projects to woodworking and design. We'll hear from our Makerspace teacher about how this space came to be, and then from several students who are using it to learn, experiment, and create. So grab your headphones and let's dive into the world of making, creating, and learning by doing right here at Berkshire. Welcome, Mr. Kostiha. I'd like to introduce Mr. Kostiha to the StodCast audience. He is our Makerspace teacher. And Mr. Kostiha, go ahead and give us just a couple of words about yourself and then introduce us to all these wonderful students.
Well, thank you. We're glad to be here. We can't wait to dive into it and talk a little bit about the Makerspace. As you said, I'm the Makerspace teacher. I facilitate everything that comes through the Makerspace, project-based learning, admin jobs, custodial jobs, and our partner jobs as well. So,
Mr. Kostiha, how many years have you been teaching for Berkshire?
This will be my 30th year.
And before you became the Makerspace teacher, what did you teach over at Burton Elementary?
I taught language arts, mathematics, science, basically the whole gamut.
All right. Well, let's meet our guests of honor.
Okay, so there were actually a lot of kids that wanted to participate in the StodCast, and we weren't able to have 20, 30 kids in here, so I did have to narrow it down, and there was a little bit of method to that madness, but we narrowed it down to these guys here, and I'll start right here with Kaylee to my right. Each one of these kids is here for a reason. They kind of represent a piece of the Makerspace, and what they do with the Makerspace, how they interact with it, kind of gives you a whole picture here. So Kaylee represents a student who currently just finished a PBL, project-based learning. I asked her to be here today because she actively participated in a PBL in the Makerspace. Next to her we have Sophia, and Sophia has done a whole bunch of projects in the Makerspace, but currently her capacity with the Makerspace is as an assistant. She's one of my assistants in the Makerspace, and I asked her to be here because she's actually a pretty integral part of the lessons that I do. For instance, the lesson that we just did with Kaylee's class. And a lot of times the projects that we're doing, they need to be demonstrated in advance. We do the projects in advance so that things run smoothly. It's usually Sophia's hands that you see working in the frames of those instructional pieces. So that's why Sophia's here. Next to Sophia is Savannah. Savannah works quite a bit in the Makerspace. She's my right-hand gal in the Makerspace. She does quite a bit, from graphic design to assisting in projects that are in the classroom. She's a big help, and assistants in the Makerspace don't get better than her. So next to Savannah are Jake and Ben, and I say Jake and Ben because these two guys are kind of, anytime you see Jake, you're going to see Ben. Anytime you see Ben, you're going to see Jake. So they're kind of, they go together. But both of them have done projects in the Makerspace. Ben has actually done some independent projects in the Makerspace, and I'm sure he'll talk about those. Jake has done the same. Jake was a big help during the Science Olympiad. He helped out with developing and creating the science awards that the kids received during the Science Olympiad. So those two might have some things that they want to talk about concerning that. And next to Ben is Chris. Now Chris represents one of those unique students who has found a way to really utilize the Makerspace in every aspect of what he does. He's very involved in the school, from student council, athletics, to philanthropic things like food drives, and he's visiting the Makerspace quite often to kind of draw on the things that the Makerspace can do, and how he can produce PSAs for the Makerspace, from the Makerspace for his projects. So.
All right, Mr. Kostiha, thank you for that great introduction. And I'm going to bounce back and forth between questions for you, Mr. Kostiha, and questions for students. Students, the first time you answer a question, if you could just give us your full name and your grade so that when people are watching StodCast, they understand who you are every time you talk, okay? So first question, Mr. Kostiha, can you just give us a brief idea of what inspired the creation of the Makerspace?
Yeah, sure. You know, Makerspaces were nothing new when we delved into it, but really at that time they were more known as hacker spaces, and basically every classroom, every school had a hacker space, but it generally consisted of things like popsicle sticks, glue, a glue gun. If they were lucky, they had a 3D printer, a small 3D printer. Basically just hands-on materials to build something, and that basically spawned the inception of what we wanted to do, which was to take it a step further and create a makerspace.
All right, awesome. So any student who wants to jump in here and answer this question, can you just tell us, how did you first get involved with the makerspace?
I'm Ben Joels. I am a senior.
Awesome.
I first got involved with the Makerspace in 6th grade when it was first created. We were working on a dog park project for our 6th grade math class, and we never really got to finish it, but it stuck in my mind, and I came back in high school when I learned that we had access to it, and I've been doing projects ever since.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and I remember that project, and we actually were not able to finish that project because of COVID, yeah.
The dreaded COVID.
The dreaded COVID.
So, Mr. Kostiha, over the years, and that was at Burton Elementary, right?
Yes, it was.
And so, over the years, when we started, we had a makerspace at Ledgemont Elementary, we had a makerspace at Burton Elementary, and we had a makerspace at the Berkshire Junior Senior High School. And how's the vision for that makerspace changed since we moved into this one building?
Yeah, so as I alluded to, in your previous question, that hacker space kind of evolved into a makerspace, and a makerspace is basically one-upping that hacker space where you have more expensive equipment, more materials. And the kids have access to that equipment. So when we kind of consolidated the 3 buildings into one building, really what that did was it allowed a teacher, me, to kind of oversee all of the equipment and make sure that the kids coming in there had access to it, and that we could get the projects done that they wanted to get done with.
Great, great. So, again, back to students. Any student who wants to jump in, tell us about a project that you've worked on in the Makerspace and that you're really proud of.
So, I've
Name, grade.
So my name is Christopher B. McDonald. I am a junior this year. I'm in 11th grade. I've been with Berkshire since 5th grade. I came from another school. And I've been involved here and there since probably 5th grade, actually. I've seen Ben in his class multiple times with Mr. Kostiha. I don't know if he remembers, but I was in his class, I think in 6th grade, a little bit. But so I've really loved the program, and I've used it a lot. So it first started when I was in 10th grade. I started a food drive project. I made a bunch of posters through the Makerspace, put them all across the school. And I've been really proud of this project because by myself, I led one of the biggest food drives that have ever been produced from Berkshire, from students ever. And then I took it this year. It's actually still running. And it's going through November 23rd in hopes to feed a lot of Thanksgiving families. And so Mr. Kostiha has been a large help in producing that. Last year I kept over 500 cans of food just sitting in his space, and he let me do that. And he helped me collect it. He helped me get prizes. Just the Makerspace has, all in all, been a huge help, and I've used it to the best of my ability.
Great. Any other student want to talk about a project that you've worked on that you're proud of from the Makerspace?
Well, if you've ever walked into the building at Berkshire, you've seen the rack that our mascot sits on. Myself and Jake helped design and construct that last year. We drew up the prototype for it, cut down a bunch of PVC, and we constructed it. Did a lot of troubleshooting because I designed it wrong a couple times, but that's how I occupied myself during advisory.
Now the question is, Ben and Jake, do you know why we created that? You know the problem we were trying to solve in creating that?
Yeah, it gets really nasty when it's sweaty. So drying it off makes it a lot easier to bear the smell inside of the suit.
And as an added bonus, it looks kind of cool when the mascot's sitting on that thing. It looks like a 7-foot tall badger.
Yeah.
Which it is, actually. And that particular project that Ben's talking about, that was a unique project because that was truly an interdisciplinary project that spanned the grade levels. There were kids from the elementary that worked on that project. There were kids from the middle school, and of course, Ben and Jake, who designed the skeletal structure for that. But there's an electrical vent on there that airs that suit out. There's air conditioning inside the head that needed to be repaired. We had middle school kids working on that. And when we finished it, Bert the Badger's odor problem was solved. So it was a great project, and it was a functional project as well.
Great. I see the Canjo sitting on the table. I'm going to assume, Kaylee, that was from your class.
I'm Kaylee Vita. I am a senior here, and the Canjo was our first project in our music lab class. It took us about a week and a half to do it. It was a very interactive project, I will say. It took a lot of different aspects of painting, epoxy, all that, and we're super excited to use them to just learn basic chords, progressions, and all that.
So my question is, will we see a Canjo performance at any
It's
upcoming
brewing.
shows?
Isn't there a video that you made? I see it playing down there at the Makerspace.
There was a video. We put it on
I
our
believe
YouTube
that was
channel.
posted, yes. Yes. And that, again, that was also a unique project. There was a lot that went into that. And I think it illustrates the concept of the Makerspace, where you know when you walk over to the Makerspace and you go into the Makerspace, on the floor there's a graphic design that was actually produced by a student some years back, but it basically says you enter with an idea and you leave with a product. And Kaylee and her class, they entered with an idea and they left with a product, a viable product that actually worked.
Actually started as a joke between the class and Mr. Epler. He, at the time at the beginning of the year, was really obsessed with the idea of a Canjo, just completely showing us photos every day, and we were like, what if we did this? And he was like, don't test me, I'm on it right now.
All right, we love it. One of my favorite things, if you see the large badger in the back, so that badger and then all the other different badgers, who can speak to how those are created, or who created those, or what you do to make those? Go ahead.
Savannah Brockway, 10th grade. So pretty much you have to print out the largest piece of vinyl with Bert blown up as much as you can. And considering the machines we have now, the vinyl and how much you have to blow it up, it doesn't always fit on one. So we have to print it out 2 times, so there's 2 pieces, and you have to measure them exactly so they overlap correctly. And then you have to pay and get the wood, and then once you cut out the vinyl, you lay it out on the wood, make sure it's lined up and everything is correct, you trace it, and then you have people carve it out. And after it is carved out, you tend to spray paint it, which we did. We have a purple one too. And after that, we epoxy it, stick the vinyl down, and then put the epoxy all over it. And then once that dries, you make a hinge in the back so it can stand up. And like Mr. Kostiha wanted to add, a little light so that if we use it at events, we can have it like getting shined on by a light. So
I think it's incredible, and it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and that project actually stemmed from the Spanish department. The Spanish Honor Society sponsored it, and it was a pretty intense PBL because, as you can see, that's a 5-foot badger, and I believe Ben, you were part of that as well. So was Jake, because there is a physical part of that. It's the digital part of it, the graphic design, and as Savannah alluded to, there's a lot of measurement involved in that. You have to have the two symmetrical sides because our large format printer is a 30-inch printer. And that's much more than 30 inches there, so we had to kind of measure that out correctly in order to have those two sides fit together. But it does represent kind of a melding of the old school Makerspace, which is hands-on tools and drills and saws, and the new school Makerspace, which is the digital design and the large format printer and those kinds of things.
Can you tell us, Mr. Kosthia, how does a project get started in the Makerspace? Who brings those projects to you? And what classes in the school use the Makerspace?
Yeah, so generally there's 3 types of projects that come through the Makerspace. We have PBLs, project-based learning, and those come from the classrooms. The classroom teachers, they have an idea or a concept that they want their students to achieve. They'll come to me with the idea. We'll turn it into a Google Classroom where we'll put all of the students in there that are going to be in it, whether or not there are any outside professionals involved, other teachers involved. Everybody is in the Google Classroom. Everybody can see what's going on, and everybody is contributing. The second type of project are admin projects. As you know, I get quite a few admin projects coming through the Makerspace, and generally my assistants are the ones that end up producing those for admin. And then the third type of project is our partners. Berkshire partners with a lot of organizations and other entities outside of the school. So generally that's how those projects come to us. And there's times when we get a little bit inundated with projects, but we get them done. We've never turned a project away.
Excellent. So back to students. Can someone just describe for our audience what type of equipment is? You don't have to give us line for line everything, but just what types of things are in the Makerspace and what types of things can you work with in there?
I'm Jake Kepich. I'm a senior. There's a lot of printers, and then there are a lot of woodwork and everything. One thing I would like to see in the future is like a laser engraver for cool designs and everything.
Yeah, and we do have a laser engraver, and we're working on getting the venting system so that we can actually use the laser engraver.
Yeah, we did used to use the laser engraver at the old building. The ventilation was sufficient, but we had a little bit of a problem here in our building with off-gassing, so we're tackling that.
Yeah. How about any of you jump in? What are some tools that you like to use most and why?
A tool I like to use most is the saw. Is it a saber saw? The miter saw. I've had to use it for probably hours. It's become, I'd say, my baby because of how much I've had to use that thing. And so in our lunchroom, you see all those designed badges. She's helped with them. He's helped cut them out. And then I personally cut a bunch of them out myself. And it was the miter saw that I used with it for hours and hours of cutting.
Yeah, and again, that's a combination of old school and new school. He's using hand tools, hands-on equipment, drills. But he mentioned Savannah there, and this, the badgers that he's alluding to, Savannah used AI to create an array of badges that represent the athletics in the building and the academics in the building. And the idea there and the final product was to have everybody represented in all the sports as well as all the academics. And I think the AI is a new direction that we're going in with Maker technology, and Savannah has tackled that pretty well. She's getting very good at it, as are some other kids, and of course, Chris and Ben, they had to create the plywood templates for that AI to go on to.
Awesome. Anyone else want to share a favorite tool they have and why they like to use it?
Ben Joel's here. I enjoy using the hand sanders. I've had so much experience with them that they're kind of just glued to my hand. From working with PVC on the Burt stanchion, I was sanding them down a lot because I was really bad at cutting the ends. And then, to get all the wood burrs off of the wood cutouts, you got to make sure it's sanded down so the epoxy gets in there and make sure the edges aren't cutting people. Yeah,
and Ben has some future aspirations, and he'll probably talk about that. But I think he's a future engineer because some of the stuff I've seen him do, it takes some calculation, and he's good at it.
Yeah, I've used the video that Mr. Kostiha made for me of me working on the Burt stanchion to get accepted to 4 colleges already. I plan on majoring in aerospace engineering, and there's 9 more to go. Hopefully all of them accept me.
That is awesome. So again, to anyone who wants to answer this, what kind of things do you learn in the Makerspace that you don't always get in a regular classroom?
You kind of learn like problem solving in a real sense, because when you're in the classroom, like the ideas are kind of more not abstract, but if they're on a piece of paper, you don't really get like
They're structured.
Yeah, they're more structured. But with a Makerspace, you get like a full-on experience, and like you get first-hand experience with a problem, and you have to tackle that your own way. I think it really builds your problem-solving skills.
To build on that, I personally, throughout my projects, had always had Mr. Kostiha looking over my shoulder because we both have OCD, but he has it bad. So when I would cut corners, he would make me redo the whole project or completely scrap it, and I'm just thankful that he really pounded that into my head that it has to be done right, because it's made me a lot better in even just the aspect of life of anything I do now. It has to be done right, and I want to make it as well as I possibly can, and that's came solely from Mr. Kostiha.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback on that, so the Makerspace operates with the educational model of the engineering design process, and it begins with asking a question, and then it proceeds through a sequence of steps until you achieve a product. And when you achieve that product, and this is what Chris was talking about, when you get to that product stage where you actually have a physical manifestation of your idea, it's time to evaluate your product and make sure that it came out the way you wanted it to come out. And that's what he's talking about. We'd get to that stage, and it's like, all right, Chris, was this exactly what we wanted? Do we need to change anything here? Do we need to fix anything? So yeah, and he responds well to that. All these guys do. With the Canjo project, we actually that was the final phase of it, and these guys actually came up with some additional ideas that they want to kind of improve upon the Canjo. So that evaluative stage of the engineering design process right before you send that out to be shared, and sharing is of course presenting it to the community, presenting it to an audience, or using it yourself.
So originally it was our friends at Inventionland who taught us the engineering design project or idea program, and I don't know if you guys know this or if you are familiar with Inventionland. We took a couple of student groups there when they were in 2nd grade. I'm not even sure how old those students are now, but they're the ones who built our PBL spaces, so the castle and the high school spaces. But they have a curriculum that helps you go from an idea to a finished product. And that's kind of what we've based the things that we're doing in the Makerspace on.
Yeah, we all went down there actually. You took us all down there, and that's where a lot of the conceptual ideas that we currently use came from.
What kind of skills, Mr. Kostiha, are they beyond the technical skills do the students develop in the Makerspace?
Oh, geez. I mean, there's a lot of collaboration going on. These guys, they're collaborating with each other. They're mentoring younger children. My assistants, they come into classrooms with me. Sometimes you have a classroom of 30 kids, and I'm one teacher, and of course you have the classroom teacher there as well. But a lot of times you need those assistants in there, and I think that kind of fosters that mentoring mentality that becomes valuable later on down the line. Also, as I think it was Jake that just mentioned a moment ago, when you're in the Makerspace working on these projects, again, we're utilizing the engineering design process, and that is a real life process. You utilize that process whether you know it or not in the outside world, in the job. Whether you work at Duramax or Walmart or you have a landscaping company, you're actually utilizing the design process as you go. You're coming up with ideas, you're testing those ideas, you're using them. And so those skills, those real world skills, they're going to take these into the real world when they leave us.
Excellent. And for those of you listening that might not have picked up on who uses the Makerspace, in a lot of schools, the Makerspace is a class, or there's a class. Our Makerspace isn't a class. We wanted it to be embedded in everything we do. So every classroom in this building will use the Makerspace, but not all teachers feel comfortable operating the equipment in the Makerspace. So by us having Chris, Mr. Kostiha, be the Makerspace teacher, they don't have to worry about knowing how to use the equipment. They come up with the idea, just like students enter the Makerspace with an idea, and then they come and they work with Mr. Kostiha and have their students. So all the students experience the Makerspace as a part of their regular class. It's not a special class that they have to go to get this, and that was our goal. I want one of the students to tell me how it feels to be able to design or build something from scratch.
It's pretty rewarding. Sorry, they all looked at me.
That's all right.
It is very rewarding, as you came in with this idea that you were gonna do this and you weren't sure if it was actually gonna come true, and then the next second it's in your hands and you're like, I did this.
Yeah, rewarding. That's great. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd like to add on that. I think it's pretty freeing to start an entire project from scratch, and I think it's really fun to build the basis and see where it goes from there.
I personally love to see all the things I've done and look back on it and then build upon them. It really shows to me how much I can achieve and how much I can achieve with help and just growing and achieving things in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris was actually involved in the hurdle sponsor project for our athletic department, and he created a lot of the graphics that went on those, and so anytime he's out on the track or on the football field, he's actually looking at some of the work that he produced.
Yeah. Gives you pride in what you've built.
I mean, I had to cut out at least 1,000 of them.
Nice. So again, to anyone who wants to answer, how has working in the Makerspace changed the way you think about learning or about problem solving?
It hasn't really changed how I thought, but it's definitely built on it. Ever since I was little, I've done projects around my farm, a lot of woodworking. We're making feeders, hay racks, stuff like that for the animals. And working in the Makerspace, I can really apply what I've been taught. And it's helped me get over my fear of messing up. It takes the pressure off, even though every project is real. It feels like an extension of yourself, where you can do the things that you're trying to do, even though you're unsure of yourself.
What is it like, again, any of you, what is it like to share ideas or help others that are in the makerspace?
I think it's really good to build ideas off each other. Like, it's good to bounce ideas off each other. There's always something fresh going on. And even when you're not, like me and Ben, we've known each other since kindergarten, but even when you're not working with somebody that you've known for a while, having that cooperation helps build soft skills in the workplace.
Yeah, and I think that I want to touch on what Ben said there a moment ago. You know, bringing those ideas into a tangible piece. The Makerspace, when it was just a hacker space, you know, those things may have not been possible, what he's talking about. But as a Makerspace now, we're talking about having equipment in there, you know, very expensive equipment, expensive tools, materials, chemicals that he normally would not have access to in a hacker space. And I think it's those kinds of things that really put certain projects over that hump and get them done. So the coming to the makerspace and using those materials, those machines, the tools, hand tools, everything, it really helps kids achieve those goals.
Yeah, I mean, the Makerspace has always been a place where I can go and not feel like I'm being watched or I can't use something because I'm not smart enough or I don't think I'm capable. Because I know no matter what tool I use or machine I'm working with, I will be taught how to do it. And then if I ever do mess up something, Mr. Kostiha will be right there to help me fix it and build on it. He won't reprimand me for it. He'll always try to build and help create a solution to whatever problem that I may face.
Yeah, and to be fair, Chris is trained on the machinery, so he does know how to use it. All of these guys are trained on using the machinery. Kids that come into the makerspace, the first thing we do is we go through safety procedures and protocols. Nobody's ever been hurt in the makerspace. The makerspace is a place where there are some dangerous things. You know, kids can get hurt in there if they're not, wearing proper equipment, safety goggles, and if they're not trained on the equipment. So while Chris may mess up here or there, or anybody may mess up here or there, yeah, of course you always get to get a redo on that. But he's also been trained on the machinery as well and the tools, so he does know what he's doing.
Sophia?
Yes.
What's one of your favorite things to do, or one of your favorite projects that you've done in the makerspace?
One of my favorite projects I've done is the 3D printed badger. I painted it in 8th grade, and I did epoxy over it so it would seal and all that for it.
Awesome. And do you help other people, or do you help a lot in the makerspace?
Me and Savannah did a few projects together, a lot of them.
So tell me, like, when you work in the makerspace, do you work with people that you might not normally work with, or are you kind of grouping with the same types of people?
Sometimes I do, but sometimes it's just like I work by myself a lot too with things.
Yeah. Sophia, she joined us on. She comes on some classroom PBLs. She joined us on a PBL upstairs here. It was I don't know if you remember that, Sophia, was the desk plug. The elementary desks that we have, they came with an engineering flaw on them, where the back of the desk has an opening, and so does the front of the desk. And so it goes without saying that when kids put something in the front of the desk, it comes right out the back of the desk onto the floor. And it became a very frustrating thing for teachers in the classroom. And they came to the Makerspace and said, hey, how can we fix this? Is there something we can do about this? And at the time, we had a group of students in there. They kind of brainstormed it, and they came up with a pretty simple fix. And classroom after classroom has asked the Makerspace to come and apply that fix to the desks in their room. And Sophia's been on several of those excursions.
So quick difference between flaw and design, because you said that had a flaw. It's actually designed that way on purpose because those desks are made to be able to be reconfigured in multiple different ways. And so if you put an end cap on and then you configure it into, like, say 3 instead of 5, now you have an end cap where you should put your thing. So whereas some people see that as a flaw, because if you use the desk the same way every time, yes, that's an issue. Initially, it was designed for maximum flexibility, but I think an awesome solution to that would have been maybe a magnetic thing that they could flip to either side. So however they use it, or with some of the classes, we've inserted a little desk box that they can pull in and out, and then they're not pushing it. But I agree with you that especially first grade teachers were frustrated that their first graders would continue putting things in and it would fall right out the back. So awesome. But again, one way that it was designed is a flaw in the way that we're using it. So we got to figure out a way to fix it. And you fixed it.
And in the spirit of the engineering design process, that evaluative stage right there is maybe the stage where we could create a magnetic plug as opposed to a permanent one.
So just thinking about things like that, Mr. Kostiha, what ways are you seeing creativity happen that you might not see happen if you didn't have a situation like we have in the Makerspace?
I think, the students, they never fail to amaze, and they never fail to surprise. They come up with some pretty cool stuff. I could give you probably a quick example here. It's a lot of kids come to the Makerspace and they want to build a computer, and that's a tall order. But you don't turn that away. You let them experiment. You let them try it out. And to kind of preface this, one of the projects that I do in the Makerspace sometimes is called deconstruction. And deconstruction is the opposite of making. It's taking things apart and it's finding out how they work and why they do what they do. And a lot of times our technology department is decommissioning devices, laptops, Chromebooks, desktops, and so forth. And they'll turn those over to the Makerspace, and I'll have kids deconstruct them. And as a result, I end up with piles and piles and piles and bins and bins and bins of motherboards and fans and just all kinds of different components of computers. Well, this student came into the Makerspace and wanted to build a computer, and so I got all of these bins out, and I let him have at it. And sure enough, after about 2 weeks, the student had a functioning computer that he had put together using just random parts that he found in these bins. And the computer was actually able to access our network, and it got to the point that I had to talk to tech about it, because this student's computer was accessing the network unfiltered. So he had found a way to basically jailbreak the computer, and
wow.
So
got our own little Tony Stark.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Students, what is a project or a skill that you'd like to try in the Makerspace, or something you want to do in there next, or something you haven't been able to do?
We haven't worked a lot with metal before, so I think it'd be cool to make, a sign for the shop or something, or start doing some metalworking. I've had a little bit of experience, not with welding, but bending metal very slowly with sledgehammers. Not a very fun process, but it would be cool to build a metal structure of some sorts.
To build on that, something I'm personally into is sound.
Okay.
What I want to learn how to do, and I was thinking about bringing it to the Makerspace, is how to design proper sound boxes and speakers, and then taking the knowledge that I gained from that and the Makerspace and then applying it to my own vehicle eventually. So that's something I want to learn how to do. It's a big sound project.
He wants to rock the neighborhood with some loud music.
Because I already have 2 Scar Audio subs, but someone already built those. Now I want to understand how they work and how to build it myself.
Yeah, and that's a pretty neat concept. Matter of fact, Kaylee dabbled a little bit with that, with the sound resonance in her Canjo, and she amplified the sound in her Canjo. We used the power amplifier and the electronics that she put in there. So, yeah. And as far as Ben with the metal, yeah, that would be great. I'd love that. We have done a little bit of metal work with our Auburn students, and we are in the process of building some shields that are going to be representative of the district.
I'm sure you guys are aware that we have the campus over by Preston now where we have the mechanical tech. Once that garage that mechanical tech is going to go into is finished, it'll open up the middle building where we can maybe do some more welding and metalworking type. Maybe we'll open our own custom motorcycle shop. And then
Building upon that, it would also be cool to have teams similar to like what colleges have, where they'll build like aircraft and stuff and go into competitions. I feel like what we have now, we could probably work with that. I know as a 6th grade project, we built planes out of canvas and popsicle sticks and attached rubber band motors to the front and made them fly. So I feel like younger kids would be able to get into that, and I mean college students do it, so if we teach them young, we could have a really good team and maybe work with NASA or something.
yeah. How has your experience in the Makerspace made you think differently about what you want to do in the future? Go ahead, Sophia.
I have thought about being a cop before this, and then after I got into the Makerspace, I've wanted to do more like welding and mechanics and stuff like that. Just more hands-on compared to just sitting in a car watching people.
Awesome. Have you thought about doing the mechanical tech program here?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, I think that'd be great. Anyone else? Anyone else thoughts on, has it either affirmed what you wanted to do or made you think differently about?
Well, for me, with my food drive project, the results on that, I've always had a knack for wanting to feed people, but seeing how that I can actually accomplish that on a large scale, it made me improve on the dream of eventually making enough money in whatever career I pursue to opening my own large food banks that feed a lot of the homeless either in New York City and or other big areas that need fed.
That's great. Mr. Kostiha, what's the biggest challenge in running and maintaining that makerspace?
Yeah, I think aside from the probably the ones you could guess, materials, running out of materials,
money,
cost, yeah, machines breaking down, things like that. I think aside from those, I think one of the biggest challenges is trying to get every job in. The Makerspace gets a lot of requests, a lot of jobs from basically all sides, and so far we've been lucky. We've gotten them all in, but at times it gets a little bit inundated, and a lot of times some jobs that are on the back burner stay on the back burner for a while, but we'll get to them. We get to them.
What would you like to see the Makerspace evolve into over the next couple years?
Well, let me put it this way. Case Western Reserve, have you ever seen a think box?
Yep.
Okay, so if this was a pipe dream, that would be great. Every floor in the think box is a cog in the engineering design process until you reach the top and you have your final goal. That would be an excellent evolution.
I don't know if
of
you're
the
aware of
Makerspace.
this or not, but the Think Box was my inspiration for bringing the Makerspace.
Well, there you
into a
go.
middle like this.
Maybe
that would be
maybe that inspiration can happen here, with a 6-level building.
Yeah, maybe not 6 levels, but different areas, or maybe we expand to somewhere else.
Sure.
So students, what's the funniest thing that's happened while you were in the Makerspace, or the weirdest thing that happened while you're in the Makerspace? And maybe we'll go around and each one of you can tell us what's the funniest or weirdest thing that's happened in the Makerspace.
We were doing our cans, and our teacher, Mr. Epler, for personal reasons, was not able to be there for some days. And Mr. Kostiha looks at us and goes, he needs to paint his can still. So we found the biggest can we could. Mr. Epler loves glitter, right? Loves it. And so we covered his can in the colors that we did our Canjos and a bunch of multicolored gold glitter spray. That was it.
So he absolutely loved his bedazzled can.
If you've ever received a glitter bomb in an envelope, that's basically what Mr. Epler ended up with, a glitter bomb. But yeah, that was funny. That was.
How about you, Sophia?
I was hanging up the flags for Veterans Day, and I was going to get up from under the table, and I went up and I whacked my head on the table.
Oh, painful. I guess maybe funny to someone who was watching, right? Not too funny to you, though.
So I want to say it was last year with the mosaic we have out by the middle school restroom. We had a bunch of 6th graders, I believe, paint that and come up with the design one of them did. And so, like, me and a bunch of other people, including Chris and Sophia, we had to readjust the paint because, they're middle schoolers, they're not going to paint something perfectly. Mm-hmm. But Bert, and in Mr. Kostiha's words, when he saw him, he said Bert looked like he was from the funny farm. So I cracked up, and I still have a picture of it till this day, and it makes me laugh.
Bert from the funny farm. All right.
Yeah, I have a story from our sophomore year. We were working on the Olympiad plaques, and we were basically done for project. We were cleaning up for the day. I was walking to put stuff away. My foot got caught on the bottom of one of the tables, and I tried to pull it out. I thought I had it out, and so I took another step. It got caught, and I stumbled face first to the ground.
Oh. Yeah, that's another funny to someone else, but not to you at the time.
And just another illustration, the Makerspace can be a dangerous place, right?
Building on the danger, when we were putting Bert together, we may or may not have put some pieces together wrong, and we had them completely stuck together, and we were pulling them apart, and I believe Jake was pulling with his entire body weight and went flying across the floor. That was an interesting day.
Wow.
Well, my story includes a few friends of mine. We would all sit up by Kostiha's during lunch, chat, whatever, eat our lunch. And then I think it was Mr. Katurba, or it might have been you relaying the message. He goes, we need someone to stand in front of the green screen you just built and make a short video with no script about the auditorium and the auditorium etiquette. So they went around my friends, didn't we? And they were like, who are we going to pick? And I'm just trying to stay quiet because I don't want to do it. But they all look at me and I'm like, all right, I'll take one for the team. And so just randomly one day I got in front of the green screen and did a whole video. I think it was unscripted, just with a few key points of auditorium etiquette. And did they even end up using that, or was
I believe
it just
they did, yeah. And he was a natural, yeah. It was unscripted, and he went head first into it. And that was when we first completed the green screen. We created a green screen in the Makerspace.
I knew that with green screen was going to come back to bite me. I saw it building. I'm like, he's going to make me stand in front of that to test it out, isn't he?
And that's another component of the Makerspace, digital making. You know, a lot of times you think of a Makerspace as producing physical products, but there's a lot of digital making going on as well.
Mr. Kostiha, what advice would you give to other schools who want to start a Makerspace or a similar program that what we have?
Well, I mean, we've been fortunate. We, you know, we've been able to get machines, you know, expensive machines, expensive materials, chemicals, things like that, adhesives, power tools. So, you know, any school that would be, you know, hopefully as fortunate to get those kinds of materials, those kinds of machines. Advice that I could give, I would think that you would probably want to have a dedicated teacher in there, because again, you know, there's a lot going on there. There's a lot of you know, materials and machines that can be dangerous, pinch points, sharp things, things that get hot. So a dedicated teacher. But I'd also recommend, you know, training students like some of the students we have here to be assistants in the Makerspace. I mean, I've done projects where I've had, you know, 30, 40 kids. It can be harrowing when you're using a lot of different materials and you know, you're doing it by yourself. So having assistants is key to a smooth operation.
Okay. Now back to students. What advice would you give to another student who maybe wants to go do some things in the Makerspace but hasn't been in there and isn't sure what they want to do? What advice would you give?
I'd say just don't be shy. Do what makes you happy. Your imagination is the cap. It's as far as you can imagine. It's about as far as you can do. It really just go into it, do what you want to do, and Mr. Kostiha or your teacher, if you're not a part of Berkshire, obviously, will help you in whatever way they can, and they'll give you solutions and ideas to build on whatever project you want to come up with.
Yeah, building off of that, I mean, there's always a project to work on. It never ends. I know once we finished the big project we worked on for, I think, an entire semester last year, there was more stuff to do after that, and once, you know, you have to go back to classes, it sucks because you can't play around in the Makerspace, but it's definitely a highlight of high school. I mean, you won't regret it.
Yeah, the cool thing that I'm hearing is you associate the Makerspace with fun and play, and you're really learning a lot while you're in there. You're problem solving, you're being creative, but when you associate something with fun and play, you tend to be more invested in it and do better.
It's not like something that you're forced to do, because like you said, it wasn't a class. Mm-hmm. It was something that you came into yourself and then used your own ideas. It really isn't seen in the aspect of, oh, boring school. It's seen as you producing something and having fun with your own abilities that are structured and invisible.
And what you guys might not be able to see now, but using miter saws, jigsaws, acetylene torches is only going to come in handy when you own a home one day or when you have to repair something or replace something. So it's giving you life skills, really. It's helping you get into college, right? Because the videos are helping you with that. So really you're doing a lot of things to help yourself. Yeah,
and I think, you know, the traditional regular classroom in the building, you know, I think I'm fortunate, and I'm probably only one of a handful of teachers that could say this, but I think I'm fortunate that I'm able to push into all of the classrooms, or at least all the grade levels, and I get to see these teachers at the different grade levels doing things the way they do them, the different techniques, different personalities. And what I could say here is that we actually have we have a really gifted group of teachers in Berkshire. They make a lot of stuff happen in their classrooms, and they find ways to make things happen. And I think what these guys are getting at is that the Makerspace kind of, even though these teachers, they're able to make a lot of things happen, when they come to the Makerspace, it kind of opens up a new door. New machines, new materials, just a whole slew of additional things that they can use to make projects come to life.
So we'll start with Sophia and work our way around. If you had to describe the Makerspace in 3 words, what would your 3 words be?
Fun, creative, and skillful.
Fun, creative, and skillful. Great.
In my opinion, I don't think there can just be any 3 words that can describe it because there is so many aspects of it. So.
Too many aspects to limit to 3 words. Okay.
I would say educational, firstly because it's like a totally free experience. You learn everything. It's not all structured. You get to see how everything works, and when problems arise, you find your own way around them. You're not necessarily structured for you to find a certain path around it. Originality, you come in with your own idea, you build it totally from scratch, and you build it from the ground up, and it's your own project. In creativity, you don't really get the chance to create that much outside of the Makerspace. You're totally free to do your own ideas, and it's not like you can't do that in the classroom, but you just have so much more physical opportunity. You get to see how everything works, and
Educational, originality, and creativity. Awesome. Next.
I feel like I have to come up with a different word than creativity, but it's hard not to use that to describe it.
Gotta be extra creative and come up with this extra word.
It's coordinated, organized chaos. There's not really limits to what you can do in the Makerspace. You really get free roam on your projects. If you want to do something, all you have to do is bring it up. Mr. Kosthia will help you out. He'll tell you what the benefits and drawbacks of that idea would be. But there's no limit to what you could do in the Makerspace. You really could, you could build a rocket ship if you want to. You'd have to have a lot of resources and a lot of money to do that. But you could if you wanted to.
Well, let me tell you, that was a creative description. What was that description again?
Coordinated, organized chaos.
Organized chaos. There we go. All right.
I'd say for my 3 words, I'd go with empowering, team building, and limitless, to build off of what he said. It's empowering because I've always felt that it's given me the power to change. It's given me the power to solve problems and build new things and create anything under the sun, making it limitless opportunities. And then team building, throughout any project I've ever done, I've asked for little help because I am a person who likes to work alone. But any times that I have asked for help, I've really gained new friends, or I've built bonds with people through working with them, not only in this Makerspace, but outside of it. Or like one of my best friends, Quinn Searle, he helped me with the Hurdles project, and me, him, and Henry all built a great bond throughout that, and I'm still really good friends with all 3 of them to this day.
Excellent. All right, Kaylee.
I would definitely say interactive with all the building and creating and everything. Definitely originality, because all the ideas are coming from your own head rather than, oh, this teacher is giving you something to do. And growth, for sure, because people, as all of them have said, they have all grown as people, people in the society, community, all that.
Excellent. Mr. Kostiha, if you had to give 3 words, what would they be?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I think I'd probably have to invent a new word. It would end up being Webster's Word of the Year or something like that. But all of these words that there just is no single word or 2 words or 3 words that can describe it. It really is a problem-solving environment where kids can bring a concept to the table and turn it into a tangible product.
All right. Well, I want to thank all of you for being on the StodCast. I'd say the first time we had students on the StodCast was a pretty big success.
I think so.
You seemed very popular with all the students that were walking past and wondering, why didn't I get to be on? Why did they get to be on? But so thanks all of you for coming in, and I think it was a pretty good representation of what we do in the Makerspace and how all these different areas in the school are using it for all the different creative, crazy, fun ideas that you have.
Yeah, and thank you for having us. I think these guys did a great job, and I think, like you just said, the first StodCast featuring students was impressive. It was a success.
Awesome. Is there anything that anyone wants to say as we wrap up? One more last thing to say to the awesome, at least 130 people maybe watching the Stod. We'll get those subscriptions up though, right? Yeah. Anything anyone wants to say?
Thank you for coming out and watching and listening to us talk.
Awesome. Go Badgers.
Go Badgers.
All right, thanks guys.
Thank you.
That's it for today's episode of the StodCast. Big thanks to Mr. Kostiha and all the students who shared their stories from the Makerspace. If you liked this episode, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe, and ring the bell for the StodCast for more conversations about learning, creativity, and life here at Berkshire. Next time, we're going to dive into all things elementary school. So if you want to hear about that, make sure, again, you like, you subscribe, you ring that bell so that you're notified when new videos post. And if I were to have to use one word to sum up the Makerspace, that one word would be awesome. Thanks for listening, and remember to stay curious, stay connected, and go Badgers.